Hello, beautiful fellow human beings. Ernestine here, coming to you with week 3 of Ernestine under quarantine. To be clear, I am not ill at all. I am not experiencing symptoms physically. I think, like everyone, I'm experiencing symptoms psychologically. But, yeah, so the first 2 weeks have gone really well. I'm cranking out stuff that I'm quite proud of. There was one piece in particular last week, the per Lombardia, that was inspired by the article I read about what's going on in northern Italy, that I think is one of the best pieces I've ever choreographed in my entire life. So if you haven't watched that video yet, go find it because it's hard, but to me that's what dance should be, because I took a thing that I felt a thing about and then choreographed a narrative piece of dance to it. So how am I? How are things in Berlin? Jesus. So as the days tick by, I am increasingly astounded at how fucking lucky I got to land here, of all places, because the conditions in Berlin are, I mean, Germany's other than moving to South Korea, which I don't think would have been a good cultural fit, perhaps, even though Germany's like a bit of a stretch too. Um, but other than moving to South Korea, Germany's probably the safest place I could possibly be. I keep calling my parents, and they're like, "Are you okay on the other side of the world?" They're in California. They're in lockdown. My dad's going fucking stir crazy, and I keep saying to them, "Daddy, I'm more afraid of being run over by a bicycle than dying of coronavirus, and I'm fine." People here are very intense about their bicycles. They have a lot of, like, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of, like, latent energy and, like, just gnarliness being used as, just exercised on bicycles. People go very fast, and it's fucking terrifying, and then you hear the little bell, and you're like, "I'm gonna die," and then they go whoosh, and you're like, ugh. Anyway, so I feel like the bicycles in Berlin are more dangerous to me personally than coronavirus, being the healthy young woman that I am. Um, anyway, it has been a fucking crazy week, that notwithstanding. So the legal update is we are still only allowed to congregate in groups of two or less in our houses and in public. And, social distancing, very, very highly encouraged, staying. I had to figure out what 2 meters is, 6 feet. Why didn't somebody's just my housemate stretched out on the couch horizontally, a very tall person, and said this far, and I was like, okay, one viola between humans, between me and the next human. So that's good. When I do have to go out into the city, which I do very infrequently, but when I do go out, the U-Bahn is just completely empty, just a few other people and me, and that's like, wow. And it's a bit nerve-wracking, but yeah, we're getting through this, and Berlin is about to start implementing what I think is really amazing, these contact tracing apps, which you should go look up and read about if you haven't learned about yet, in addition to ramping up testing production is going really, really fast here, and a lot of people are getting tested. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to have these contact tracing apps that tell you if you've been in, if somebody has been diagnosed or is a suspected case. You will then be notified that you've been in proximity to that person because they're tracking all of the mobile phone data. And there was a huge debate in the German parliament about whether or not that's consistent with German privacy laws, which are some of the most stringent in the world. Anyway, personally, more interestingly, oh my god, I'm such a narcissist. Anyway, but for me personally, two, like, whoosh, blew me out of the water things happened this week, that were really, really intense. The first of which was that I wrote a blog post about how I have decided to continue seeing the occasional client because neither the American nor the German government have come through for me financially yet with aid for, living my life. So I am living off of Patreon. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. I have 2 new patrons just from the past couple of weeks from ostensibly this project, and you guys are fucking kicking ass, and I have 2 people who increased their pledge. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It goes so far right now. And then I have still my housemates feeding me and housing me for free, and then random strangers on the internet like fundraising and donating money. But the sex work organizations in Berlin are not yet ponying up to keep us fed and housed and with healthcare. And so this week's project is applying for unemployment aid for German people, which is like a whole new bear. I have to go speak bureaucratic German, which I don't, and it's like, yuck, nightmare. But I got a frantic email from my best friend saying, if you continue to see clients, you will be killing people. Those are her exact words. So I had a worse fight with my best friend than I've had in maybe once in our entire 30-year friendship. I met her when I was 4 years old. I'm not that old. And it really took some soul searching. But yesterday I saw a client. We had a bottle of champagne together, and it felt okay. So, until the government provides for us, we are still a highly at-risk community, and me being a new immigrant in particular, even though I'm a white girl, so continuing to see clients, controversial, illegal, unfortunately, but something that I don't feel like I have a choice in right now. And I find joy in my work, and I find strength in my work, so that's always nice. And then the second bomb that got dropped was a friend of mine was, who I talk on the phone with all the time, my other best friend, called me out on self-deprecating self-talk. And said, I have to yell at you because I am so sick of you saying, I'm not good enough for this, I'm not good enough for that, I don't speak German yet, I've only lived here for 3 months and I'm still not fluent and I'm really frustrated about it. She like hammered me until I had this like really visceral, it's very hard to describe in words. Again, I think I'm going to do better describing it in dance. But she just nailed me. She was like, your self-esteem is really shitty. I'm sick of hearing it because you're amazing, and go figure that out. And I had like a very physiological reaction to that. My whole body suddenly became very terrified about this idea of like thinking that I'm not a bad person. It's really, really convoluted and complicated to explain, but it brought up childhood trauma. So there was like a shit ton of childhood trauma reprocessing that happened this week, just in this room with me alone. And as the weeks go by and things become more and more, weighty and difficult, and the first week was like, oh, okay, I can do this, and then the second week was like, I don't even remember what it's like to go outside, and then this week has been like particularly difficult, so it took me an extra couple of days. In addition, I don't have a physical therapist here, so doing this level of dance takes a toll on the body. You basically have to have a physical therapist at all times, and I just don't have that right now. So I am doing my very best to keep myself in fighting fit while not having access to the healthcare practitioners that I did in the US, which is a bit tricky. However, we go on, and I'm hoping that all of you are hanging in there as well. This, gets more difficult over time, but I think that perhaps we're going to see some easing of the restrictions after Easter. Here, the date is April 20th that we might see some things start to change, so that is, 14 days away. Oh, God. Anyway, in the meantime, this project gets me out of bed in the morning. Your comments are amazing. People subscribing to my YouTube channel, even though that's not financial support, it's emotional support, it's psychological support. It's like, thank you so much. So, long chat this week, but, so I hope you continue to enjoy these videos. Last week, I found idiomatically something quite interesting, which was that I was on my pointe shoes and I started doing my Middle Eastern belly dance vernacular, and I was like, ooh, something there. So for patrons this week, I'm posting my warm-up again, exclusively, and then all the other videos will be open to everybody, because a lot of us just don't have any fucking money right now. I get that. But I'm going to do a belly dance warm-up on point and see what happens, because I think, interesting. You know, I keep trying to find things that nobody's found before, and because I'm weird, and I feel like I'm succeeding. So, yeah, my critic, my internal critic is like in the room, and I keep working on like, go away. So that's what I'm wrestling here in this bedroom. You know, chin up to all of you. Breathe. This will not last forever. And if this project is helping you get out of bed in the morning, or helping you, you know, pass some hours, I know it's a shit ton of content that I'm just dumping on the internet. Now I'm dumping all my blog posts, like past and contemporaneous, on the internet too. And I'm like, are people getting saturated with Ernestine-ness? But I don't think that's possible. So enjoy this week's videos, and all of my best to all of you. I hope you're staying healthy and safe, and staying away from other humans as much as possible when possible. I am, although that's been difficult. And, you know, we all do the fucking best we can at the end of the day, right? And as long as you go to bed thinking, I did the best I could, then, you know, I hope that helps us all to sleep soundly. Anyway, we teach best what we most need to learn ourselves. So I'm going to get to it and enjoy this week's videos, and I will chat with you next week.